Would you rather win $1 million this weekend or date Taylor Swift like Travis Kelce? I'm going to answer that in a second here. All right. Here we go. 10 under 10, DFS Army. You know what's up. What up, everybody? It's your boy, DFSUpNorth, aka Josh Thomas, here with another 10 under 10 GPP podcast brought to you by the fine folks over there at DFS Army, where you can find all of my NFL content along with cheat sheets from some of the best in the game. Guys like Geek and Bobby Wow and Millie Winners and Bob and Mutt and Madness and all of the fellas over there. So back to the question at hand. Would you rather win the Millie Maker this week or date Taylor Swift? And I mean, for me, I love my wife. I'm not looking to get out of here. I'm not looking to be on the road and things like that. So I'm probably taking $1 million, even though I recognize, and the comments are going to tell me this, that dating Taylor Swift means that I get access to millions and millions and millions of more dollars. I can't be living that lifestyle. So you tell me, would you rather win the Millie this weekend or be Travis Kelce or not necessarily be Travis Kelce, but nobody can be Travis Kelce, or date Taylor Swift like Travis Kelce? So it is week 4. We had week 3 last week. It was for me personally, decent week, and the 10 under 10 last week struggled a little bit. And that's something that I think I need to address right away, is that these plays are not going to smash every single week. And you should be aware of that if you are watching this, because the reality is that we are looking for guys that are under-owned with the potential to pop off, right? So these plays are not something that you should just build your entire lineup around, right? And that's what I even catch myself doing sometimes, is I have to get away from the bias of like, oh, I think, so-and-so is going to have a smash week. I got to get there, because here's the deal. In DFS, guys, chalk is chalk for a reason. High ownership, you don't need to fade at all, right? And we're going to do that a little bit today. I'm going to show you how to build a lineup on DraftKings and FanDuel, just plugging in pieces from this article or this video so that you can get just a little bit different, right? You don't need to be crazy. So that's, something I wanted to talk about right off the start, because there are going to be weeks like last week where nobody hits. I had a couple of decent hits last week, but like where it's just not great, right? And you're going to have weeks like 2 weeks ago where everybody on DraftKings hits and you're kicking yourself in the butt and saying, why did I play all these guys in the same lineup, right? The reality is that with GPP plays, especially low-owned plays, we got to find, or we're just looking for a guy to hit and smash. And that's the reality of DFS, is that you got to take some stands some places, but eat some of the chalk too, because you got to think that chalk is chalk. Like, guys are getting ownership because the entirety of the DFS community and the betting community is saying this guy is in a great spot this week and he's going to smash, right? You can't just fade all of that base of knowledge, right? So you got to, especially like for me, I'm more of an MME guy. I'm just getting pieces of these players somewhere. I'm getting leverage on the field by being 2x a guy that's 5% owned, right? So if somebody's 5% owned, I might be 2, 3, 4x of him. So meaning I have 10, 15, 20% of my overall ownership on him, right? And I think that's a really important note. And speaking of guys who have leveraged the field and smashed, can we talk about my boy Nolan? My boy Nolan for 50 freaking K in the flea flicker that last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lineups in the flea flicker. 50K. Like, you see the big wins, like 50K, even if that's life-changing money. That is a life-changing money, and that is what we are doing at DFS Army every week. A couple weeks ago in the showdown, Frank will gore you another 70K for a second place finish. That was last week. Sunday night or Monday night or Thursday night? I don't even remember, because I think Frank took home another 5-digit win after that. So big shout out to these guys. And without further ado, the 10 under 10 article, you know how we do here. We do 5 DraftKings plays and 5 FanDuel plays, all under 10% owned. In our projections, maybe these guys will jump up as they get some steam on the week. Maybe this article is just this video is swaying ownership every week as it is. So, and also this week, guys, we are going to check out a couple of the DFS Army tools. But here's my boy Derrick Henry on the top here in the video, or in the picture. you know he's coming up. But as I said every single week, and maybe you maybe got this reality from me a little bit ago. First or last, I ain't here to min cash, right? We know through back testing and the domination station optimizer, which you can use every single week. Like you want to see how to get the nuts for week 3, you can go into our optimizer, mess with it, change the settings, see what you can do to get there. But we know that guys are often under 10% owned. Often those lineups have 2 guys under 5% owned, which is crazy. So you got to get some access to those low owned guys. Here's our week 2 recap. Oof, duh. Like I said, I think that my headline here was yikes, no bueno, not good, rough week, guys in bad spots like Andy Dalton smashing. Just not a great week for my picks. Deshaun Watson wasn't bad. Turned the ball over a ton. He was QB9. KJ Osborne, he had nice value, but I mean, when you're wide receiver 31, you're nowhere near the nuts. So it was a bad week, right? So now what do? Do we just change up what we're doing? Now, wash, rinse, repeat. We are coming back at it, and we are hitting one of my favorite games on DraftKings right away here. Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos against the Chicago Bears. We are clocking in at 5.72% ownership and a salary of $5,800. Chicago is awful. The Broncos, not that great, but offensively, Russell Wilson has looked pretty good. And again, you guys don't need to tell me to play the Miami Buffalo Fireworks Fest, but you can get access to Russell Wilson, one pass catcher here, and then find pieces from that game as you build. They got boat race last week, but here's the deal. 38, 32, 34 attempts for Wilson. He is throwing the ball a ton. The Bears are not good, and not only are they not good, they have a ton of injuries. Their secondary is decimated. This is such a smash spot for Russell Wilson. He's a guy that this 5% ownership, I wouldn't be surprised to see this be over 10 by the end of the week. As people jump on him here, especially at that really discounted price on DraftKings. But I love Wilson this week. He is a core play for me. I think that he is going to smash in this game. And I really do love the game environment, as you're going to see here in a minute. Who do you pair Wilson with? Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton are both fine. But for me, I'm probably going with a cheap Marvin Mims. He's a big play guy. He can get there in a hurry, only needs to catch 2 or 3 passes to really hit value. So I am pretty high on Mimsy this week. What was the Mims song? Oh, I just sent it I sent the gift to somebody this week too. You hot because you not. Don't mess with me. I don't remember. Somebody in the comments, tell me what the Mims song was. That was I think I had that on a ringtone on an old Nokia phone. So I love Wilson this week, but guys, I'm doing it. I love the other side of the ball too. Justin Fields, 4% owned, 4.5% owned, a little bit more expensive, $800 more, but I just love this game environment. The Broncos got boat raced last week by the Dolphins. Boat race, not even just by the Dolphins, but by the Dolphins second stringers, right? And everybody is getting off Fields. He is going to at some point have a game. This is a guy that was in the Millie Maker lineup twice last year, which is really almost unheard of for quarterbacks. At some point, they're just going to let Fields be Fields, right? They're going to let him run. I thought last week we saw it in the first drive, and then after that we just didn't see Fields do Fields things anymore. I think there's a monster game coming at some point here. He is not going to get a better spot than right now against the Broncos, who just got lit up. I think the monster game is coming. You don't necessarily need to pair somebody with him, but in the Millie, when he was in the Millie, he did drag a tight end with him. So Cole Kmet is who I would likely go for, just based on price. But yeah, I am stacking up this game 6 ways from Sunday. I love it. And just a couple of pieces, right? Just a couple of pieces here and there. But I am back on Justin Fields this week because, again, what do you want to do? Justin Fields, we have seen him win the Millie before. Okay? We've seen it happen. He has massive upside. And at this ownership, you're just getting massive leverage on the field. Again, if you are just trying to get to the cash line, don't play Justin Fields, because what's going to happen here is that on your little square, right, you're going to see all these little dots either way at the back, right, way at the back over here, or way at the front. So don't be afraid to play a little bit of Justin Fields. James Cook. boy, this was a frustrating one. Last week, guys. 97 yards rushing. Gets it to the 3-yard line. Okay. Ball's on the 3. He gets 3 more yards. He gets a 100-yard bonus and a TD. He goes from RB. What did I have him last week? He goes into the top 5. I know that. RB 15 to RB 5, maybe even 4 if I counted right, just by getting 3 yards and scoring. What do the Bills do? They bring in Lance Murray to pound it home, which is just, like I said, incredibly frustrating for my lineups last week for those of you guys who played him. But just like the usage is so high between the 20s that at some point they are going to let him score a touchdown. They have to. They are going to let him score a touchdown. And against the Miami Dolphins this week, I think it's a great spot. This is a massive high total game. And he's just too low owned for the role in the offense. I get the vulture possibility here, but I am really high on James Cook. Next up, Jaylen Warren, 2.3% and only 5,000. This is a DraftKings only play for me because I think that Warren can rack up a ton of targets in this game from Kenny Pickett. Not only is he getting 4 to 5 targets a game, he's continuing to see an increase in carries. Look, Najee Harris is dust. He is a bad football player. He puts the ball on the ground. At some point, everybody else in the world sees it, but at some point, Mike Tomlin's going to say, you know what, we're going to let Jaylen Warren cook here. He's been great. He's been the better back. They got to let him ball out here. And against the Texans, come on, baby. Let's go. Let Jaylen Warren smash. Super low owned. We've got Mike Pittman Jr. All right. Pittman, this is our last DraftKings play for the week. Double-digit targets in all 3 games this year. Like 14, 11, 12. And Anthony Richardson coming back is going to benefit him, I think, a ton. They had a really nice connection in week 1. And into week 2, got a touchdown pass, and then he got hurt with a concussion. I think this is a sneaky shootout game with the Rams because the Rams D, like I could potentially play secondary. I could play D-back. I haven't played since like 8th grade. I think I might make the team. So Pittman has potential for a smash here. He struggles to find the end zone. I get it. So the FD interest for me, the FanDuel interest, not quite there, but on DK, massive PPR upside, 6,500. Love Mike Pittman Jr. here. Before we go any further, join DFS Army today. You get access to all these tools. You can be a Millie Maker winner like Bobby Wow. Using that code UpNorth saves you 10% off. So speaking of those tools, let's take a little look-see at the research station first. So if you are interested in becoming DFS Army VIP, you get access to this tool every single week with all the information in one place. We can find out, all right, who is the best quarterback on DK based on our rankings? Who's the best value on DraftKings? Okay, like right now we're seeing Danny Dimes is the best value, but that's because he's the Monday game. But after that, it's Kenny Pickett. Interesting. He's only averaging 12.77 DK points per game, but points per dollar looks actually pretty good for old Kenny Pickett. You can see our weekly projections for like pass yards. So if we sort by projected pass yards, we can see we're projecting Mahomes to throw for 353. When is he even playing? Oh, yeah, the Jets on Sunday night. That's right. But then you got, Kirk Cousins, 329. Joe Burrow, Andy Dalton, 295. Pretty solid numbers here. Where's our boy Russie Wills? 252 and 1.57 TDs, but also getting that 265 rushing upside. We got their 2022 stats, the opponents, what they are allowing to the other team. And we're seeing that Russell Wilson is looking not too bad here. 236. Justin Fields, obviously, with his combination, 194. But this is what we are looking for with Fields. If we scroll back here, is our projected rush yards. And we actually don't have one on him yet this week. We don't have a projection in there for him. So we'll have to get that for you guys. But yeah, you can do that for quarterbacks. You can do that for tight ends. Right? You want to see who's the best option here. Our projected receiving, or we're looking at, Kelsey at 8, Ingram at 6. Those are both island games, but TJ Hawkinson 5 and 56. That's a nice little number there. Where's my boy Jake? Where's my boy Jake? Does he not have a projection yet? Sometimes that happens. Jake Ferguson, you're going to see him on the FanDuel sheet here in a second. But I really do like my boy Jakey Ferguson this week over there. You can look back at 2002 stats, all of this jazz. You want to just isolate the 1 o'clock games, we can do that. It is just an unreal tool that you can see week to week. So don't be afraid to become a DFS Army VIP. Let's head over to, well, no, we just talked about DraftKings, and I said I wanted to build a DraftKings lineup that can play some of the chalk, right? And what does that look like, right? So for me, we're just looking at it. I really like Cousins on the road here. As a quarterback, he's not going to be crazy high owned, but he'll be high owned enough. And then if I go to wide receiver, who do we got? We like Pittman, right? We got to pair Cousins up with somebody, but where I'm going to go is I'm going to pay up this week. Never mind. I'm not paying up this week. For Hawkinson, I do like Jake Ferguson. I said that, and 3,500 is just way too cheap. It opens some stuff up for you. Wide receiver. Can I get a cheap Marvin Mims in there? 3,900. And then, you know what? I can actually probably afford Justin Jefferson. Yeah, it's close. I love the Browns defense against the Ravens. So they're in there. I got 45. Do I have any cheapy RBs? We like James Cook. Let's see his price, 6,300. All right, that's not bad. Who's a cheapy running back that we can get in here on DraftKings that has some upside? Oh, I'm looking at it. There we go. Could play a guy like Salvin Ahmed's going to be out. Khalil Herbert. I do like, here's the deal. I think Roschon Johnson is going to be the guy here at some point. I think this is a fantastic, like, Millie Maker sort of build right now. So now we got the mini stack there. And then 5,300, I can go Jerome Ford here. Yeah, right. Like against Baltimore, I got the defense with them. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid lineup. We're just going to enter that boy real quick here, just in case. All right, so that is entered. Let's talk about FanDuel. But before we talk about FanDuel, I know I shared the research station. Tell me who your favorite 10 under 10 play is this week. Not even just not mine. Who's your favorite under 10% owned played on either site? Light it up in the comments. I love to see it. Helps in my research process to see what everybody else is on. But let me know who your favorite guy is. And if we get this video to over 3,000 views this week, which we've been close, we were up, I think, for week 1 and 2, second week dropped a little bit. If we can get this over 3,000, I am going to give you the sneakiest, maybe the most terrible Millie Maker play. But a guy that I think has like legitimate 2-touchdown upside. There's nothing to say that it'll happen, but I have this sneaky feeling that he is going to pop off at some point. So if we get 3,000, what I will do is I will post it in the comments of this video who that guy is. So what you need to do is like, share, do all that jazz, comment, get this out there. If you see me on Twitter at DFSUpNorth, I will share this and you guys can get access to it there too. Brock Purdy, QB for San Francisco. Like I wrote here, Purdy plays the Cardinals. Like that's enough for you to play him. He's got some issues with receivers, but Brandon Ayuk is there. They said he's going to play this week. That's probably my favorite target here. Him or Kittle. You can even put him with CMC. I don't hate that. But then, you know, so Purdy, I think he's a great option this week. A great stack piece. You don't need anybody coming back from the 49ers. But then we go to my boy, Derrick Henry, and the ownership is just too low. The price is too low. Like, I get it that Tyjae Spears has been in the mix, but this is Derrick Henry, guys. He's going up against Cincinnati. We look over at our DFS Army Proptimizer, right, which you get access to if you are a DFS Army VIP. I scrolled through the sportsbook projections, and they are telling me, right, that the consensus line here, or the sportsbook projected line here is CMC 79.28, Tony Pollard 71.53, and then Derrick Henry at 68.31. Yet we look at the pricing at RB. And I got to scroll down through 5 guys to get to Derrick Henry. I understand that he is not a pass catcher, right? We look at his stats recently. It's not great. It's not great. But he's going up against the 29th ranked rush defense here in Cincinnati. He had 25 attempts against the Chargers, only 11 last week. Ended up with a measly 2 points. He's injured, right? Dealing with a little bit of an injury. But he is going to be fine. I love Derrick Henry. Like that prop tool, just I look at that and it's like, what are we doing here? Get him in your lineups. Love Henry. We got a revenge game for Adam Thielen. He gets. Apparently, I need to fix that in my editing. Take on his former team. He's coming off a week where he had just a ridiculous 14 targets, which is insane, you guys. Like 14 targets is wild. He is a touchdown machine. I said in week 1 when he was in this article that he is going to be the red zone threat for this team. It took Andy Dalton playing last week to see that, but Bryce Young comes back. I think that the game plan is going to be to get Thielen those passes on those intermediate routes against a guy or guys that he's played against his whole life. He's going to want to ball out. Love Thielen here. Think he is a really high-end play. And I'm going to give you guys a little secret. One of my favorite DFS Army touts, coaches, Uppers Lad, has got Thielen as a core play this week. I agree. Like, I think he is in a smash spot. Next up, we've got Devontae Smith. This is my weekly what are we doing here spot. Like, what are we doing with Devontae Smith at this ownership? I am seeing my boy, Devontae Smith, at like 10 times less ownership than AJ Brown, which is bonkers. Like, it's bonkers, you guys. Like, that is an insane number. We do have to scroll a little bit to find him. He is, let's go, 50 rows per page. But, like, what are we, 60.3? Like, the receiving yards, AJ Brown is 71. I just think, like, Brown had the massive upside last week in receiving. They fed him because he was mad, and now we are going to see things sort of come back to normal. And look at Devonta Smith, 4.5, right? 4.5. Where's AJ Brown? Where's AJ Brown? Maybe we don't have a line on him. Do we have any AJ Browns in here? Is AJ Brown alive? Is he going to have more than 4.5? Yes, he will. But I would imagine that the line here is, unless I'm just scrolling over him and I don't see him, around 5.5. But I just think, like, at the ownership, Devonta Smith makes way too much sense. He's the deep threat. He can rack it up in a hurry. He is the guy that you want in your Millie Maker winning lineup because he's going to be there, right? That's going to be a popular game this week. And for arguably their best pass catcher, their best receiver in Devonta Smith to not be over 10% owned is insane. Next up, our last FanDuel play, we got my boy Jake Ferguson. Like, the tight ends in this league right now, people. Let me come in close for this one. The tight ends in this league are absolutely wheeling right now. Like, we got Kelsey with Swift. Now you got Jake Ferguson with the Cavender, like twin, one of the Cavender twins. I don't know which one. They look the same. They're twins, but the former Miami basketball player who's a social media star, and Jake Ferguson is just in love, right? Like, good for him. He's feeling himself. He's got 7 targets last week. Like, tight ends in the league right now. Like, if you're a tight end in the league, like, you got to be feeling good. Who's Taysom Hill going to date next? Like, who knows, right? As many targets as all the wide receivers last week. I think this is a great spot, even against the Patriots with their tough defense. Super cheap, 3,500 on DraftKings, 4,300 on FanDuel. Just makes way too much sense. Oopsies. And my favorite defenses this week, you get 2 streamer defenses, come from the Browns and the Ravens game. Neither are good offenses. They're churning the ball over a ton. We get a 40-point total. It's going to be close. Both, like, they're going to be like the 5th or 6th highest owned defenses at this like 5% range. 8 sacks on Lamar this year, 3 turnovers on him alone, 4 for the team. Watson looked terrible last week. Again, they're likely going to have to rely on his arm because Nick Chubb's gone, even though I think Jerome Ford is fine. But yeah, like, both defenses in this game are absolutely in play. So what does this look like again over on DraftKings or on FanDuel? Probably the highest owned player over here is going to be, let's just say, Jalen Hurts. Okay. So, well, the way that we get sneaky here is, right, we just go right to Devonta Smith on Jalen Hurts, which I think is fine. That leaves us with 62 per player. I like to throw my defense in there because it gives me an idea of kind of where I'm going what I have left for the rest of the round. And where are we? The Browns are 4,300. It's not terrible. What are the Ravens? I can go the other side this game. Yeah, I would probably rather just take the 2 points or the $200 in savings here on the Ravens. Love them. I said we like Jake Ferguson. That's going to give us a ton of room to wheel and deal here. So Jake Ferguson, great play. Wide receivers. Now you can play some of these guys that are going to be higher on. Let's see what they say about Debo here. I talked about Purdy. He's listed as questionable. Missed practice Wednesday and Thursday. Played on the side on Friday. I think he plays. But you can play a guy like Chris Olave, who is, I think, a great option this week. We can play a Adam Thielen. Right now we're looking at 6,500 running backs. Okay, running backs. Can we sneak a CMC in here? Probably not. Not in this lineup. Not with Jalen Hurts, but we can get Derrick Henry. I think 57 now for my next guy. What's James Cook over on this site? 68. Can we go a turd $4,700 play down here? What are we looking at? It's sketchy, right? Let's go to the flex. Oh, you know what? I did it again, you guys. I did it again. I do this every single week where I just don't show you the screen. I need like a big reminder. I really need 2 screens. So if you know what, can you guys comment on this and just like tag the DFS Army YouTube and say, Kevin, can you buy Josh a new screen? DFSUpNorth needs 2 screens. One that attaches to my laptop because I know what I like to work. I like to work sometimes on my couch, my chair, right? I don't have a desktop. I don't need to be moving that thing around all the time. Tell Geek to buy me one of those portable laptop screens in the comments here. So this is that lineup that we were talking about, but I only have 4,700 left, and that is going to be tough to get to in the flex. But let's see, maybe we got a cheapy option here. I'm not giving you guys my super cheap option. I ain't doing that yet. But 4,700. Where are we going? Josh Oliver. Don't hate that. Chigakonkwo. Don't hate that. Jawan Johnson. You probably got to go double tight end here, right? Like for somebody that's actually playing, you probably got to go double tight end. I think the bounce back for Durham Smythe is maybe coming this week in this game, right? Like he was terrible last week. Didn't get any looks. He was a full participant though. It's a tough matchup. I think he's interesting. Anybody else? Not Britton Kobe. Are you kidding me? Come on now. It's getting pretty ugly down here. But you know what? I think, what do they say about Hendershot? Is this going to make me like Ferguson even more? Questionable. He was added on Friday. It might be the Jake Ferguson show. So, okay, let's say we can't get Derrick Henry. That's fine. I can get a more value running back in here. We got James Cook. We got Jerome Ford. I think James Conner just every single week smashes. But, we got Jalen Warren. I said I don't like him on FanDuel. I could get there. Javonte Williams is going to be super chalk in this matchup, so maybe that's the play, right? And then we go to the flex. We got 6,900. Who can we play over here? Typically, I want to get a running back. I can go Brian Robinson. It's tough to run against them. I go Miles Sanders. They fed him the ball a ton. He's dealing with a groin issue here. Questionable. Continues to manage the groin. He'll play. You can go Gabe Davis. Alvin Kamara is back. Is it week 4? Yeah, you could play Alvin Kamara, man. You could play Alvin Kamara in this lineup. You could play Nico Collins, Devin Ashane, who just went bonkers last week, right? So any of those guys would be viable over here. All right, that is what I got this week, guys. That is what I got. I got to get in on this. I got to join the drop here. Come on. Marketplace. If you're not playing these DFS Rainmakers drops, you are absolutely missing out because it is almost free money every single time. That's what I got for you guys. I hope that this was beneficial. Again, like, comment. If we get up to 3,000 views this week, I will make sure that I share with you my crazy off the wall Millie Maker play that I think has touchdown upside. I'm just saying it. It's got touchdown upside. At some point this year, he's going to get 2 touchdowns in a game, maybe this week. So if you want to hear it, got to get to 3,000 views. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a great week.